What's going on, guys? Blunt Guts here. This is a Watch Their Realms video, and today we are going to be talking about the best heroes to use for the Hellfire Codex. So, a lot of you are probably used to thinking that legendaries are the be-all, end-all in this game, and in a lot of cases that is true. However, in game modes like this, a lot of kind of niche skills do come into play, and in this case, legendaries aren't the best. Most of my team is epics. I'm going to show you right now. The team that I use to get triple S, well, I'm currently number 71 on the leaderboards, is this team. I've got Brokir in there. That is the only legendary. Now, Brokir is phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. Especially later on in this game mode, one of the hardest things to do is to keep your heroes alive. And Brokir does that better than anybody that I've found. He is the tankiest of the tanks in this game. I tried to put together a all-epic team that I could hit triple S with. I wasn't quite able to do it. I got close. I was able to get SS plus with it, but I was not able to get up to triple S. I needed Brokir in there because I just didn't have a sixth defender that could survive anywhere near as long as he did. So that is that. So you may need a Brokir to get to triple S. But with that said, my gear is pretty crap. I have bad gear on my tanks. They don't have, like, I put all of my focus into farming gear raid 3. I've done a lot of gear raid 1. You typically don't need to bring more than 1 or 2 defenders into any single instance. So while I have enough good gear to fully gear 1 or 2 good defenders, I don't have enough to really gear 6 of them at the same time. So I think I've only got 1 Guardian set right now. I think it's on Adeline, I believe. She takes a lot of damage because she does have 5 block. Other than that, it is all offset pieces that I'm mixing together. But anyway, we're going to talk about these heroes. I want to give you my insight into what I'm looking for when I'm trying to figure out what the best way to assemble a team is here. And that way you can take that and hopefully find a team that works given your roster. So let's go in here. I'm going to scroll down to, we're going to go to all. I'm going to go down to defenders. What I'm looking for when I'm looking at a hero in this game mode, there's really 2 things that you want to prioritize. One is block. So if the hero has extra block, a la Adeline, if the hero has an ultimate that increases their block, like, say, Olag or Isolde, those are fantastic heroes. Block is how you do your damage in this game mode. You can't hit any of the enemies in this game mode for more than 1 damage. However, the boss, when the enemy is blocked, will attack them and do damage to them. They will take basically damage over time as long as they are blocked. So the more block you can get, the more damage you can put out. That's how you juice your score before you get overrun. So that's the first thing. You want as much block as possible. The second thing, you want to make sure that you have as much durability as possible. So what does that mean? There's a few things in this game. So self-sustain, any kind of heals, that's fantastic. Like, say, Titus. Titus does have amazing self-healing on his ultimate. He keeps himself up well enough in this game mode that he is going to be able to survive as long as needed. Brokir, I was just talking about him in the intro. Brokir is fantastic because he has this gigantic shield that he puts on himself, similar to Baron. So heals, shields, and then finally unyielding, which is another common ability for a lot of tanks. So let's see, who has unyielding here? Regulus does, but he doesn't have any of the other things I talked about. He doesn't put shields on himself. He doesn't heal himself. I guess if you have him, I think it's, what is it, A5? I think when he, yeah. So when Lionheart is triggered, so when he uses his ultimate, he heals himself to full. So if you've got A5 Regulus, which a lot of you may have been pissed off when you got 6 copies of Regulus, this is the game mode for you. However, I don't. I've got him A2, I believe, and he's not benefiting that much from it. So he's not going to be somebody that I'm using in my comp. Let's see, who else? Brokir, again, he's just the GOAT. He is the best one in this, and he's the best defender for taking damage in the game, in my opinion. He does a phenomenal job at it. His shields, his unyielding, all of it's fantastic. Baron, I talked about him a little bit. He has unyielding as well. Who else has unyielding in here? I think that may be it. Does Ardeth have unyielding? I'm not sure that he does. No, he doesn't. Okay, so yeah, so the heroes in the game that do have unyielding, we've got, like I said, Regulus, we've got Baron, we've got Brokir. I think that's it. I don't think I'm missing anybody, unless Hars does. Does Hars have it? I don't have Hars, so I'm not sure. Doesn't look like it. Okay, so with that being said, let's go. I'm going to highlight some of the heroes that I think are really good in this game mode, and we can kind of go through and talk it through together. Hopefully this helps you to assemble your team. So ours is, if you look at the leaderboards on the Codex, he is all over the fucking place. He is the man when it comes to this Codex. I don't have him, unfortunately. With that said, you don't need him. You don't need him to do triple S, because that's what I was able to do with my kind of decent gear. So okay, let's take a look at the ranking in here. So we go in here. There's ours. There's ours. There's ours. There's another ours. There's a ours. There's a ours. There's a ours. Ours. He is everywhere. He is everywhere. I wish I had him. He would be really great in this. Honestly, I would kind of be upset if I did pull him aside from this game mode. He is great in this game mode. Other than that, I kind of think he is the worst legendary lord in the game. He doesn't seem all that useful. At least Toreador enables some guild boss comps, and Toreador does some cool things. Pars is a defensive defender. That may sound redundant, but there are certainly some offensive defenders in the game. I don't want Pars, but he is fantastic in this game mode. He brings the shields, and that is what really helps a lot of these other heroes on the team survive. So he is great in that way. Let's get back to the gallery, talk about a few more in here. So the other ones that are good, Gon is pretty fantastic, namely because of his block. So where is it? Where's his ultimate? Increases block by 3. That is huge. Now, it only lasts for 10 seconds, but that's going to give you enough time to knock off some of the health off of the enemies that are coming in. It is big. It may not sound like much because it's only 10 seconds, but it is pretty huge. Now, with that said, almost nobody has Gon, unless you're a whale, so we're not going to talk about that all that much. Regulus, you would think, would be good because of his unyielding. He is not all that great, unfortunately. He does not have the self-sustain to really do a great job in this game mode. I think that you could probably work it if you do have a Hars. That might help out, although he won't be getting the benefit from it. So maybe Hars won't help out, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But Regulus, like I said, if you have him A5, he's going to be great for you because he's going to be able to heal every time that you use his ultimate. But absent that, he is going to die. He's going to get slowly whittled down because he doesn't have anything to prevent him from losing health. And it's unfortunate because I really do think that Regulus is kind of an underappreciated tank. He is really good when you pair him with a healer, but you can't bring a healer into this game mode, really. So, I mean, no, you can't. So, you would think maybe you could bring in Constance or maybe like Mariel or something like that to provide some heals. These defenders that do heal their non-healing counterparts, not going to work in this case. They have structured the map in such a way that you can't actually use the area that Constance has and the area that Mariel has to heal any defenders. You can't hit them because they've got that Dolores like cross placement that just you're not going to be able to hit any of them. So unfortunately, that's not going to work. Toreador is not great. Reeve is fantastic in this game mode, and he does. I think he has increased blocks someplace in his kit, doesn't he? Maybe he doesn't. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Well, so either way, the thing about him that is fantastic is his slow, and that the slow allows you to snare the enemies coming in, which just gives you more of a buffer to be able to clear out the other enemies before they reach some of your other heroes. So he is phenomenal for that. So that is something, any kind of crowd control, that's actually one thing that I did not mention earlier. Crowd control is big too. So if you have enemies or heroes that stun, heroes that are able to slow, heroes that freeze, like Brokir does kind of everything. He is fantastic in this game mode, as I've said a number of times. But Reeve is really good for that reason. So unfortunately, if you weren't playing like me when Reeve was out, or if you didn't have enough shards at the time to get Reeve, then you don't have him. There's no way to get him, so nothing you can do. Orin, surprise, surprise, he's awful everywhere. Really terrible. My third legendary on my free-to-play account, he has already been outpaced by 2 other tanks. Livian and Oag, obviously. Oag is way better than him as a defender, but Orin is he's just bad. You can be upset if you pulled him. At any point. I've pulled now 4 copies. Actually, no, 4 copies on my main account. 1 copy on my free-to-play, so that's 5 times total. It sucks every time. My heart dies a little bit inside when that happens. Cyrus is another one who's really good. Unfortunately, we're going through all the legendaries here. A lot of these are ancient exclusive heroes like Gon and like Cyrus, or they are not heroes that are accessible because they were exclusives, like this bad boy right here, Captain Reeves. So Cyrus is great because he's able to block with the units that the skeletons that he summons. So he is really great that way. If you do have him, that's a win. You should be able to do well in this codex. Azor, terrible. Always terrible. He's just not good anywhere. So get that out of your mind. He is a damage-dealing tank who doesn't really do a great job dealing damage. He's got bad base stats. There is no reason why you should be using him in this game mode. Brokir, he's a beast. Fantastic hero. I really like him a lot. Constance, I tried her. I couldn't really get her to work. You'd think that because of her heals, she'd be a good choice for this, but what I found was that the heals just weren't enough, and it's only benefiting her. Like I was saying before, you can't actually place her because of her target range. She can't actually hit any of the other tanks in here, so it doesn't really help out all that much. So I wouldn't use her. Baron is great. The only problem with Baron is that he's not as tanky as some of the other heroes in here. You do have to, if you do use Baron, you need to make sure you spam his ultimate as quickly as possible. If you have the option to bring some rage regen in, that's going to help him out a lot too. You need to keep that shield up as much as possible. He does have a really low ultimate cost as far as I know. Yeah, 500 for the ultimate. So that's why he's able to keep it up so much. The problem is that it's up for 10 seconds, it doesn't get eaten through, and then it resets and he's back down to his regular health. So you need to minimize that time when he's not shielded, and you need to be strategic for when you are hitting the shields. You can't just spam it. You need to wait until he is actively being hit because you've only got a 10-second window where he's going to be shielded. So that's something to keep in mind. With that said, he does bring that unyielding, which is really fantastic as well. So Titus, I talked about, he is really good, really, really good. He has, where's his ultimate? Enters the Annihilation mode, increases attack range. We don't care about that. And restores 5% HP per second, which is the big thing. That is the huge thing. So he does bring some self-heals in there. And in my experience, especially if you've got him skilled up, he's going to be able to do some work for you. He's going to be able to keep himself up pretty much as long as you need him to be up. So let's talk about Livian. Livian, you would think, would be really good in this game. But she doesn't have unyielding. She doesn't have a shield. However, she does have, where's her ultimate? Where is it? Where is it? There's something in her kit where she... here we go. So her basic attack, every free attack launch triggers shield bounce, inflicting stun on targets. The hero will restore 3% HP upon retrieving the shield. So when that shield comes back to her, she's going to get 3% HP. You would think you could build her with a bunch of attack speed and she might be able to keep herself up. And she does a decent job. She was the hero that I tried to swap in for Broke here to see if I couldn't do triple S with all epic heroes. I just didn't have the... Honestly, I got tired of doing it. These game modes are, and I think this one in particular, is just super frustrating. It's a lot of waiting, the waiting game. You end up just doing the run over and over and over again, and you're just waiting for that last, minute or so of the run where everything kind of goes crazy and shit hits the fan, and then you're trying to figure out a way to do it as efficiently as possible to get a better result. But then there's another 3 or 4 minutes of waiting while, if it doesn't work, you got to do it again. And I just couldn't keep doing it, so I stopped. However, she is phenomenal in a lot of content. In here, she doesn't, in my experience, have quite the survivability that you want to keep her up. She was one of the first heroes that died. So when the shit did hit the fan, like I was talking about at the end of those runs, she was often the one who died first. And as soon as one defender goes down, it's like a domino effect. They all start going down because then the boss starts eating the little enemies. And as the more enemies that he consumes, the more damage he does. And eventually, if he gets to 20, he just wipes your entire team. So I like Livian. I like her a lot in a lot of different content. She's really great in Fraction Trials. She's great as a mid-game tank, I would say, before you get some of the better legendary options. But in this game mode, she's just not really pulling her weight, unfortunately. So there's that. Olog. Olog is, like everywhere, he is a motherfucking beast. I love Olog. So why do I love Olog? Well, self-sustain. What was I talking about? He brings the shields, so he's going to be able to keep himself up. That is really important. The other thing that a lot of people may miss because they're not used to using his ultimate actually gives him 1 more block. Like I said before, the most important thing in this codex is having as much block as possible. So anything that you can do, even if it's only on an ultimate, but in this case, this is a long ultimate. This is 25 seconds of +1 block. That is gigantic. So he's great in a lot of ways. I used him and Livian to be kind of my my counterpoints on each side, they are the first line of defense against a lot of these enemies because they have the best ability to, one, absorb damage, keep themselves up, and finally, and most importantly, to block as many enemies as possible to kind of take the stress off of your weaker tanks that are later on in the progression. So let's move on. Mariel, I know I saw somebody in Triple S with Mariel. I tried to use her. Well, that's not really true. I tried to use Constance, and then I decided Mariel wasn't going to work for the same reason. I didn't quite understand how her heal worked. If she's going to only, because her range is just this, right? So I don't know. I don't have her upgraded, and I just kind of hate Mariel, if I'm being honest with you. There's nothing, it's not her fault. I've just pulled her so many times when I wanted different heroes. So I think I've probably pulled about 30 different Mariels at this point. She is just, she represents a significant portion of my Awakening coins in the Awakening shop right now. So I really just was tired of her, and I didn't think I would use her anywhere else, so I didn't want to rank her up. Still, there is somebody who has used her successfully, so maybe she can work for you. I don't know. I'm not sure how the heal works, so maybe she can heal other heroes. That would be awesome. Aveline, she is the best hero in the game for this game mode, in my opinion. I think you could make an argument for Hars. I know he's all over the leaderboard, but nobody brings more block than Aveline does. So, where is it? I think it's in one of her Awakenings, I'm pretty sure, right? Is it the A5? No? Oh, it's not. It's not. She just inherently has 4 block. Okay. Well, never mind. Forget about the Awakenings. You don't need the Awakenings, although I'm sure they help. Let's see what we got here. So that's kind of awesome. That is huge. This, like I said before, any kind of HP restore or shield is going to help them survive longer in this game mode, which is what you want. Defense 100. Shields here, like I said, that's what you want. Extra HP, that's great. And Wind Shield increases defense by 15%. So that is fantastic as well. The other thing to keep in mind is she is a Northerner, so if you are using Isolde or you're using King Hars, she is going to benefit from those shields that they pass out. So that's huge as well. Finally, we've got Ardeth, who I know absolutely nothing about. So we're going to read through his kit right now. I don't think he's good in this game mode, but let's see. So activates Realm of Curse, deals damage equal to 3% of the caster's HP to enemies in range. This doesn't matter because they can't take more than 1 damage at a time, so this isn't actually going to help you. Additionally, here becomes unable to perform basic attack, but his max HP is increased by 50% for 8 seconds. Max HP, does he have healing? Does he heal himself? I don't see any healing on here. The Realm of Curse inflicts vulnerability magic damage on all enemies. That's kind of cool. And restores HP to the hero equal to 10% of the enemy's damage taken from the Realm of Curse. So in this case, you're going to be getting 0.1 HP per hit because you can only hit for 1 HP. So that's not going to be good here. Let's see what his Awakenings are. Each basically has a 20%. Okay, that's not bad, I guess. So basically, every 5 hits, you're going to get 3% max HP, which is similar to Livian's, which is similar to Avaline's. I'm not confident that this would help him stay alive enough. 750 HP, that seems kind of low, but I guess maybe because it's A2. Damage dealt with Realm of Curse, damage we don't care about. Rage regen, don't care about that. Inflicts stun on enemies when they enter the Realm of Curse for the first time. So that could be kind of good, I guess. You know, the stun does help. That is something that is going to help you out. But at the end of the day, I don't think that he's a more compelling option than some of the other ones that I have listed here. So if I was building a free-to-play team and I was only using epics, like let's just say you don't have Brook here. Maybe you've got a Regulus or something like that. Did I go over Isolde? I think I skipped Isolde, didn't I? She's fantastic for this too. So if you're only doing epics, Isolde would be my leader. And here's why. She brings shields on her Lord skills. So increases faction allies' basic attributes by 10%. That's pretty standard for an epic Lord. Periodically grants all faction allies a shield equal to 20% of their max HP for 20 seconds. The more faction allies there are on the team, the more frequently it takes effect. Now, the good thing is, the Northern faction has the best tanks in the game for the most part. So when we're looking at the North, let's just go away from defenders for 1 second. Let's see what we got here. Tank, tank, tank. Tank, tank. And they're great too. They're all great. Isolde is a great tank. Hars, as much as I was shitting on him before, he is a good tank. He's not amazing. He's not the best tank in the game, but he is a decent tank. Brokir, in my opinion, the tankiest of the tanks. Olag, great tank. I probably top 5, top 3 defender in the game. I'd say maybe, yeah, top 3, I would say. In my opinion, you got Brokir, you've got Olag. As far as just meaty defenders that are going to be able to take as much damage as possible, I think they are probably top 2 in the game if you're really getting down to it. So let's take a look. Is there anybody tankier in here? No, it's those 2. They are the 2 best heroes in the game at taking damage, is Olog and Brokir. So anyway, let's get back. So if I were you and I was making an all-epic team and I was able to get double S, S plus, that's what it is. You just can't talk. So Isolde, that would be my lead. I'm going to concentrate on Northerners so I can benefit as much as possible, not just from her stat boost, but also from those shields that she's going to drop. So I would also bring in Aveline, who, again, like I said, I think is the best hero in the game for this game mode. I would bring on Olog. He is another Northerner. I would also bring in, if you have Brokir, that would be great, but we're doing all epic right now. So those are going to be my 3 Northerners that I'm able to bring in. I would also bring in Baron. I would place him towards the end. He shouldn't be somebody who's going to be taking more hits because his health is going to get chipped away. Anytime you don't have that shield up, his health is going to get chipped away. And if you don't have his A5, which is pretty amazing, recovers 50% HP at the end of Immortal Wrath's duration. Immortal Wrath, you can see it here, is his unyielding. So when he takes fatal damage, he's going to trigger his unyielding. It's going to last for how long? Does it say on here? I thought it was 12 seconds. I guess it's not. I guess it's 4 seconds. Oh, but I'm not looking at it. So you get another 4. That's 8 seconds, and I think he has an awakening. So it's 11 seconds. So 11 seconds. When that ends, he's going to get 50% of his HP back. Now, it's only going to happen once per deployment, so it's one and done. But it basically gives you a second life and allows you to keep going, which does become important the longer you are in this game mode. So he would be a pick of mine as well. I would also bring in probably Livian. Livian would probably be another one of my choices. She would probably be the one that's going to take the least amount of hits, either her or Baron. In my experience, they are the ones that die the quickest if they are exposed to more damage. So you want to put them closer to the Soul Crystal and leave your tankier tanks on the outsides to kind of deal with the enemies first, because they're not going to die as easily. The other one that is really fantastic is Titus. And Titus is a beast. He's often shit upon because of his 31 cost, but cost doesn't matter in this game mode. So he is just great. He's great. And he's great because of his self-sustain. He has decent base stats, nothing great, but he has enough self-sustain to keep himself up. And that's really the name of the game in this. It's block as much as possible, keep yourself alive, because you don't need to do any damage. So is that 6? I think it is. So Isolde lead. I'm blanking on her name. Aveline is in here. She's going to be in there too. Olog, that's 3. Livian, that's 4. Baron, that's 5. Titus, that's 6. That would be my recommended lineup. If you do have some of these defenders, the way I would rank them, I would say in order of importance, Horus, if you have him, he's a must include. You just replace Isolde with him. If you have Brokir, you could replace one of the weaker tanks. I would say Livian, more than likely, should be your replacement for them. If you have Reeve, then you could replace whoever your second weakest is. That would be, in this case, would probably be Baron. And you could flip-flop these. Honestly, I think Reeve is probably better than Brokir in the mode. He's not going to be as tanky as Brokir is, but he is going to provide more utility with those slows. So that is something to keep in mind. Other than that, that's it, guys. I'm going to put out some more videos today on the Hellfire Codex in case you are trying to cram this in before it expires. So keep an eye out for a gearing guide. I'm going to take you through my run to show you how I was able to get triple S. And then I'm also going to talk about the best artifacts in the game and also do a little gearing guide. So keep an eye out for those videos. If you are, stay tuned. I will be putting them out shortly. Best of luck to you. I hope that you get whatever score you're shooting for. And have fun. Have a good one, guys. Please like and subscribe.